Hey there, Cape Cod. It's high noon on Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time for another episode of Life with Gwen. It's New Year's. It's almost New Year's, and I'm sure you're all getting ready for the party you're going to throw. So we decided to get some expert advice on what kind of toast you might want to have, because there are a lot of choices. Joining me today is Diane Slater, wine buyer for Cape Cod Package Store, Fine Wines and Spirits. I have to get that whole name in there. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about prices and flavors and the other qualities, because champagne is the name we know, but there are also other sparkling wines that work for a toast.
Absolutely.
And I see you've brought some samples with you.
Always nice to travel with bottles.
Yes.
Gwen, thank you for having me here. Yeah, we have, I brought two champagnes. One is Laurent Perrier. It's sort of a personal favorite. And then I also brought Guy Lamandier, which is what I call a grower's champagne. So I brought two champagnes, a California sparkling wine, a Cava from Spain, and a new Prosecco from Italy.
And most importantly, 2 glasses.
And 2 glasses. Amen. Yes.
Hey, like my friend Jimmy Buffett says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Here, Jimmy.
Tell me a little bit about why you call that a grower's champagne.
Well, because the big brands that we know in we go in a store and we see all these really big brands in the champagne world, they own probably about 90% of the American market, but only own about 6% of the land in Champagne. So some of the growers who these big producers buy their fruit from are now producing their own champagne and exporting it to the United States.
Oh, interesting.
So you often get a chance to have some really high quality juice and great, well-made wine, but at a little bit of a discount.
So it's almost like a craft champagne. You know, we see so much craft beer, and
that's
this
a fair
is small
comparison.
batch, you know, so
artisanally
really
produced, and I think there's a great focus on that today. You know, if you're into slow food, you should be into slow wine.
That makes some sense too, because if you're getting it from the people who are growing the grapes, they have a really good knowledge from grape, you know, forward to how we get it into champagne. Now, I think we should explain that champagne, when you see that capital C on champagne, it usually means that it is from that region exactly in France. Right,
because we don't always capitalize nouns, but Champagne is a region in France, and that's in the northeast of France, and it's a region with great pedigree, known for its sparkling wines, and they are very food friendly. A lot of people don't just think of them as being for special events, but the truth is, every time you hear that, you have a special event about to happen. So
that's right.
You know, you should make a special event if you haven't got one planned. You can be very spontaneous. A bottle of champagne popping turns everyone's head.
And you know, I'm used to having it with brunch, but it is wonderful with any meal that's rich, because it cuts the richness. It works on the palate that way.
Absolutely. We just had a little sparkling wine dinner with the gentleman who represents Dom Perignon, and we had a dinner, and he was, you know, we used the regular wine glasses there, and it was very comfortable, and he said, I suggest the fried chicken. Champagne goes very well with fried chicken, and it was fun, and it doesn't have to be so stodgy and always so proper and formal, and, you know, I mean, certainly certain glasses can make a difference, but the whole purpose of champagne and sparkling wines is to be festive and to enhance our lives, I think.
It sounds wonderful to me. I love festivity. In fact, I brought a couple of props along. First of all, let me show you that in addition to hosting Diane today, we also have a story on the food page of the Cape Cod Times that our spirits writer, Rich Holmes, has written, explaining some of the things that we're talking about today. So if you want to see it in print, you can see that, or see capecodtimes.com. And then on the bottom, we have 5 appetizers you can make that are 15 minutes or less, and most of them have that really nice rich taste, so they go very well with the bubbly. So in addition to that, I did want to say that I love knocking over glasses. I love the festivity, and I found these. They're so fun. You could almost put them around one of the little bottles, or around your centerpiece, kind of light up what's going on. And doesn't that make it festive?
It's already a party. See,
that's right.
It's just that easy, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And of course, in order to really enjoy the party, we have to know how to open champagne.
Correct.
And that's why you're here.
Thank you.
So I know that you recently learned how to saber off the top of a champagne bottle.
I did. I was challenged by my customers at a wine dinner at the Bonstable Tavern, and we do a sparkling wine dinner there with Sue and Bob every year, and it's always a privilege to be there. And so they said, you should do it next year. And I said, all right, I'll learn. And then Sue kept saying, how's the practicing going? And I actually hadn't been able to get to it, and I kept saying, great, it's going great. And then I finally went out and tried it in my backyard has seen a lot of sword action, apparently. So I did it the night before, and then I came in and I did it. And then this December past, I did it with the stem, a champagne glass stem.
Well, first of all, I think it'd be a hoot to be your neighbor. Second, and to see that saber. But the second thing is, don't do it today.
No, I won't do it today.
We're in a very small, very new studio, and this is only our third episode. Let's not wipe it out. Geez, guys, there's so many ways to kill the studio. But anyhow, how about if you show us how you would open a bottle of champagne if you were doing it, at home,
sure,
not in the backyard.
Sure. And I think it's important to really remind people that champagne is under a lot of pressure per square inch. Champagne more than Prosecco, but anything sparkling is under a lot of pressure. So you want to look for the bottle. There is usually a little tab. You may see a black tab here, and then you take the foil off. There is a cage that contains the cork, and the cage is under the lip of the bottle, so that is secure. The danger comes in when you start undoing this cage. So you want to always keep your hand on it, because it can just, as I said earlier, we agreed that champagne can be spontaneous. And we do not want a spontaneous popping when it is uncovered. So you just want to get that off, keep it covered, and then you just want to turn the bottle.
Right, I had heard that.
And not the cork. And instead of a really loud pop, you should get just that.
Nice. Very nice.
And then
I can see it. Absolutely.
I think your glass first.
Okay, here we go.
Now this is the Laurent Perrier, and one of the things you'll notice is all the foam. So that is the bubbles. And the difference between a champagne, I'm going to have a regular glass because, quite frankly, any vessel is good for champagne. Napoleon's troops used to drink it off the neck while on horseback. But if you see,
that's where the savoring started.
That's where the savoring came from.
Yes.
But that fine bead that comes up, the smaller the bubble, the better the champagne. And so you'll see that it's, if you can see, but when you pour it in a champagne flute, it'll be much more accelerated than if you pour it in a wide glass. So traditionally, the champagne was that little shallow Marie Antoinette shaped glass.
Right.
But people often flipped off to the sides and splashed outward and lost a lot of champagne. Flutes were made better for containing it, but they do accelerate the bubbles, and so
the bubbles leaving. But it is a great show. It's almost like fireworks. Can you guys see that line coming up the middle? And is this the growers or is this the other one?
No, this is the other. This is the Laurent Perrier. Rumor has it Prince Charles likes to drink this. I don't know if that matters for anything, but hill of beans. But anyway, I've heard that.
Maybe he'll see our show and
maybe,
then,
he's probably watching.
A difference in my life.
He's probably watching. But the thing about a champagne is that when you do pour it and then you nose it and you go in the glass and get a smell, you should smell like really lovely bakery notes, like that yeasty brioche toasting kind of note.
Oh, that's right.
And that's what you get, that lovely yeast note in a good champagne. Before you get fruit, I think you'll get that.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely fascinating to watch. I get sort of caught in it. I do like the flute for that reason. The flute
still like a flute too.
Yeah,
I do. I do like a flute.
And now, I wanted to invite all of you at home to send in your questions. We have someone here who will let us know when you have questions, and Diane can answer them right here, which is also a good thing to know if you are buying wine and you don't know exactly what you want. Most stores of any size will have a wine buyer you can speak to and get some good advice.
Yes, I think if you're, if you're in the right store, you'll have someone that can talk to you and they'll be able to guide you to whatever your needs are. And, the purpose of New Year's Eve is really to embrace a new year and a new beginning and wish for new things and good things to come. And I think when you pop a cork, you kind of commit your intentions to a better year in a festive way, it almost cements them that they're going to be more fortuitous, that it'll happen. But for every budget, there's a sparkling wine. Like these are all made in that traditional method, as is the Schramsberg from California. This has been almost, I think in Boston tasting, they thought this was like a champagne. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Cava, which is made the same method, traditional or method champenois. It's closer to champagne in many ways, although the grapes are totally different. In the sparkling wine here, and then the two champagnes, it'll be Chardonnay, Petit Meunier, Petit Pinot Noir. And so if you have a rosé, it'll be a little more Pinot Noir, so you get that red extraction from the skin.
They leave the skins in, yeah.
Right, so that skin gives it a little more tannin and a little more extraction of color. And in Cava, you have all Spanish grapes. So you have Macabeo, you have Zarello, Paradella, and a little Alicante. The Macabeo predominantly, and that is also, if any of you drink in the summer a white Rioja, that's Viura, if they call it there. So it's really grapes. You don't have to know all the grapes. You just have to know that it's really affordable. When you pour it in a glass, it's made like a proper champagne. Then we have Prosecco, which is all the rage. And Prosecco is an Italian sparkling. So every country has they make their toast, right? Everybody wants the same thing, is to have a party.
I've been, as I said, I've encountered a lot of Prosecco lately. I think it's a little bit more affordable than a French champagne, yes?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there are all levels of Prosecco. So this is a new one that just came in the market called Zutbar. It's from a German health spa. This one is actually only 49 calories, Gwen.
That's the one we have to buy.
That's like take the leash off on that. Right, although you have to be careful because champagne is an accelerant in your bloodstream. It has alcohol, nevertheless, as much as it's a party. And
it has. I think you were saying these ABVs, alcohol by. Okay. We'll get to the question in 1 second. Alcohol by volume is at least 11% on these.
Yeah, the champagnes are 12, and the others are at 11.
So we'll have to be careful how much we drink of it. So we have a question. What is the best temperature to serve sparkling wine at?
That's an excellent question. I would put it in, I chill overnight in the fridge. And you want the cold bottle, the colder the bottle is, it will less foam. So if you open a warm bottle of champagne, you're going to get that big fountain of bubbles, and you're going to waste anything that could be served in a glass. But I would say that the temperature of your fridge is about, 48?
Yeah, about that.
So, if you just chill it overnight, sometimes, quite frankly, if you hear of a new engagement, a new baby being born in your family, you have a sudden rush, you just throw the bottle in the freezer and wait 10 minutes, and then you can probably pop that cork too. Should you get hurried in your celebration. It's funny what you said
about the foam going over. I must be a Yankee at heart, because whenever I see that happening at an athletic event or even if they're christening a ship, I just sort of think to myself, oh, all that waste.
I know, especially good bubbles. So the pricing is the next question. So here we're in about this one is a very affordable, around it's ballpark like late 30s, less $38. This is in the $50 range. The Schramsberg is in the low 30s. Cava jumps right down to $12.99. So there's your affordability factor, Gwen,
there's your
that we
big
talked
party
about.
Toast.
And there's your big party toast. So, and then this Prosecco is at $19.99, but I have plenty of Proseccos that are under that. Mm-hmm. This is just brand new, and it has no added sugar. So if anyone out there is worrying about, I'm trying not to have too much sugar in my diet in the new year, you might want to go with a Prosecco that maybe it costs a little more, but it has no sugar added, no chapelization, and it's delicious. You would never know there was less sugar, and it's 49 calories.
So it gets all of its sugar from the grapes, and it still goes through the double fermentation process.
Yep.
To get its sparkle, to get its bubbles.
The Cava does. The
Cava
Prosecco
does.
is a different animal. The Prosecco doesn't always go through that same process. It's not always method champenois. Sometimes it is CO2 is the added.
Okay,
yeah.
But so we still get the bubbles, just added.
You still get all the party. You just don't have all the tradition. Oh, we got a new question here. So, do you have three favorites? I have three favorites. Do you want to see if any of them are the same? Or?
Well, I think we should ask for yours, because
okay.
I'm really just starting to explore.
Okay, well, I love
and
bubbles.
I love the calorie count. Did you tell people 49
Yeah, and
calories?
so I have to say, the Zutbar, which Zutbar. It's that one is 49 calories. It's delicious. I like that. I like La Marca very much. I like Nina Franco very much. Nina Franco the Rustico tends to be a little drier.
I do tend to go for the drier.
I go for the tend to the drier too.
Yeah. So
La Marca has that Tiffany blue label. It is hard for people to resist.
Absolutely. It's so wonderful to have all these choices, because it really depends on the kind of party you're having. We have had New Year's parties where there are a lot of people, and we have another question, so I'm going to interrupt myself.
Oh, okay. Local bubbly wines. To my knowledge, Truro is not doing any bubbly wines, although I will tell you Truro is doing better every year. Their wines are terrific. But Westport has a nice bubbly wine, and we do carry that. And I think that's about as New England local as we get. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not far. That's about 40 miles. 40 miles.
As the crow flies, as they say.
So what I was saying is that one thing about the wines, because we do know that they're going to your head. When people say, oh, the bubbles is going to my head, literally, the alcohol is going to your head pretty quickly. And when we have a party, we usually plan on we'll put out pictures of chilled water with fruit infused water.
Nice.
Because believe me, if you encourage and make available good tasting water for your friends to alternate with, they'll thank you in the morning. Because,
it's true. Water with the wine, because
afterward, in between, yeah.
Yeah, and what is a hangover? When you wake up on New Year's Eve and day and you have a hangover, it's a sign of dehydration.
Yeah.
So if you constantly ebb and flow between a toast and water, and I like sometimes to keep my water, like you say, you put the water out, not too iced, so I can drink it a little faster and keep hydrated.
Yep, and I've heard putting some frozen cranberries in it.
Oh, we have a shout out.
Okay. That's Philly is saying
Philly's in the house. Well,
yes, that's right.
So, well, there you go. Philly. So Happy New Year to Philly.
The other thing that we like to do at parties is to make sure that we're serving alcohol during the party. There's a final toast usually for most people at midnight when we welcome the new year, and then we all sit down to breakfast, because there's nothing like that hour where you spend over. Coffee is not going to sober up your guests.
That's a very generous. That's a very generous evening.
So, but steak and eggs and some carbs, potatoes or toast, that is pancakes, that is a good way to sort of get everybody back on the straight and narrow. And if they don't forget, a good friend.
Grab a couch.
Grab a couch. That's right. Take the keys, grab a couch. One thing that a lot of people are doing now, my daughter does this a lot. She'll be the designated driver. She's not a heavy drinker. And if we are going to have designated drivers, can you recommend maybe, or do you have at the store a non-alcoholic bubbly wine? Or?
We do. We have Sutter Home Free as a bubbly. And, I think there's so many alternatives now to bubblies. I mean, you can just do so much. You get, a flavored seltzer water with some pomegranate seeds and dress it up, throw some mint in it. I mean, you can make a lot of things really festive that aren't alcoholic. And you shouldn't feel poorly if you can't drink that night, or, it doesn't mean you're going to have a bad year. In fact, if you drink too much and make a bad decision, you've almost ensured you're going to start off on the wrong foot. So everything in moderation. But, if you do it right and you keep yourself safe, have fun and toast and laugh and let the joy, we should have a little toast.
We should.
We have people all the way from Philly watching. Well, Happy New Year to everyone. They'll be saying, why don't they have a taste? See, that is wide, really broad across the palate. And that's the thing I love about champagne.
Now I can taste the fruit, very fruit forward.
But it's got that breadiness, and it's just really wide across the palate. It's so broad across the palate with this depth. And champagne is a fantastic beverage. And, I had a gentleman come in the store one time, and he said, I have a 1982 Dom Perignon. And he asked me what it was worth. And I said, well, I can't really say. I don't know how it's been stored. I really can't say. And I go, have you had it since 1982? And he said, I have. And I said, why didn't you ever drink it? And, sadly, he said, well, I never felt like I had a special occasion.
Oh,
I said, this wine's probably shot by now. Years ago, you should have just invited a stranger if you wanted to your house and opened a bottle and served them something to eat and made it a party. You know, if every day is so wonderful to be alive, and if you can just think of that and say, you know what, I'm going to have sparkling wine on a Tuesday night.
Yep.
I'm having salmon tonight. I'm having champagne with it. And pass on Pinot Grigio for a night. The world won't stop.
It's a wonderful idea. I have to say that wouldn't be my first inclination to go to champagne, you know, to serve with a dinner, but I can see why that would work.
It's delightful dinner wine.
That's right.
It's one of the best dinner wines ever made, quite frankly. And a good rosé can hold up against a tenderloin. I mean, if you have a proper champagne. And so there's so many things you can do with it. From a California family, well, I'll tell you, we have a lot of nice California sparkling wines, and Schramsberg is in the house. So, and Corbel is stacked on the floor. So California makes beautiful wines, and it's nice to know they're represented in this sparkling event.
Did you tell me before we started on air that the Schramsberg was also rumored to have been served at the White House through several administrations?
I think we mentioned that before we were on air, but it is, and it's a Schramsberg is a stately wine, and it has been served at the White House through various administrations. It's just that unlike England, where you would have something that says by order of Her Majesty the Queen, we think this jam is absolutely terrific and you should buy it. The White House in the United States, we don't do any endorsing. They're not allowed to use that in their advertising. So if Schramsberg or any other product has been used at a White House function, they're not allowed to use that in their advertising. It would be seen as an endorsement. So, but word gets out, and Schramsberg has graced many a state table at various administrations. So it shows its stateliness and that it's more than acceptable. I did a champagne tasting in the store the other night. I had the Laurent Perrier, the Schramsberg, and this Prosecco. And I had made house-cured gravlax, and it was such a nice pairing. And
nice, yeah.
Everyone enjoyed it.
Salmon has that wonderful fattiness, the healthy fattiness.
Exactly. And so with these kind of wines, it just went with it. But tasting the Schramsberg right next to a champagne, you could see the quality. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you know, budget, everyone live within your budget, but you know, I had a friend a long time ago who said to me, I know you don't have a lot of money, Diane, but, you know, you should buy flowers. And I was just learning about wine. I said, you should always buy flowers. If you have $4, buy $2 worth of food and buy $2 worth of flowers and eat with the flowers on the table.
Absolutely true.
And it changed my life.
Yeah, it certainly makes it more of a celebration. I was going to go back for a second because you were talking about storing sparkling wines. Can you tell us a little bit about how it should be done?
Sure. You want to keep them for the long-term storing. You want to keep them on their side in a cool, dark place. If you have a wine refrigerator, that would be lovely. That's probably going to be around 54 degrees, 56 degrees, and they'll stay like that for a while. Some of us on the Cape are lucky enough to have a nice, cool basement. You can throw them down there. Anything if they're in, you know, if you store them in a box, the cardboard will insulate, but you don't want the labels to go too moldy. So, but nice, cool, dark place.
About how long?
A fine champagne will last for decades. Schramsberg will last a few years. This will be drink.
Okay.
Immediate consumption.
This is the one you buy for.
They last a little while, dinner. But
yeah.
I mean, most people age their wine on the driver's seat going home.
What is the most common question that you get, or a couple of the common questions you get when you're at the store and people are coming in to buy sparkling wines?
They always ask for champagne, and then they faint when they see the pricing. And then that's why this show is so important, because it shows people that, you know, you don't have to just go in and ask for champagne. You can go in and ask for Prosecco. Go in and ask, say, what do you have in sparkling wines? That's at a certain price point. You should never be embarrassed to talk about your price point, because it's your wallet, and we're here to serve you. And you come in, we just want you to get the best bottle that fits your lifestyle.
Oh, that's a great idea. And also with the flavor profile, you can probably do that too, right?
Absolutely.
You know, I like sweet. I like dry.
Yeah, we have sparkling Moscato from Italy, and that's, you know, that's delightful if you like sweet.
Yeah. It probably wouldn't be my taste, but I know there are people out there who do.
Many.
So, and the other thing is to add the festivity to it. And this is sort of silly and was a birthday present recently. But Diane, would you like to borrow my feather boa?
I would never say no to a purple boa.
So, the interesting thing about these things is not only do they make you look very festive for the holidays, but they're wicked warm. I once wore that to to New York, to Times Square, and it was actually a bigger version of that, and it was like having a sweater on your whole body.
You went to New York for Times Square for New Year's Eve?
I have done
You are
that,
braver
yes.
than me. I'm not a crowd person, which is probably why I live here. I'm so happy with open marshlands and empty beaches, but it's
just a change.
It is fun. It is fun. Everybody loves to be connected and to have festivities with other people. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. So, and we want to remind everyone to have a good time, but to be safe. Don't hurt yourself or anyone else. We don't want to see you in the newspaper. And also, we tried to have someone who plays a ukulele here today for one of our favorite songs that we sing most every New Year's. And there are ukulele players, and if you are one of them, by the way, Alan over at Main Street Music in Yarmouth is organizing a ukulele orchestra. So they have a meeting on January 8th if you want to get involved with that, even though their main ukulele player had to work today. So, but it's fun to take a look every year at the old Scottish song based on Robert Burns' poem. You know the one I'm talking about, mm-hmm. Diane. Should we give it a try? We're both shaky altos.
We are shaky altos. I know I am, but I'll give it a try.
Okay, here we go. A toast.
A toast.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? All right, Diane.
Oh boy, I hope they sing better at their parties, but we gave it our best shot.
You know what? You can sing now, see, because if we can do that, you can do anything. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. We hope you have a wonderful New Year. Come back next Wednesday and join us for Life with Gwen. If you can't watch Wednesday at noon, find it on our Facebook page under the video section, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.